There's a version of you that needs to die. Not the you that's reading this right now. Not the you that's still breathing, still holding on, still somewhere deep down believing that things can change. That version of you, I want you to protect that one with everything you have. I'm talking about the other one. The version of you that wakes up every morning and reaches for the phone before your eyes even fully open. The version that scrolls through other people's highlight reels before your feet have touched the floor. The version that tells itself every single day, tomorrow I'll start. The version that has big dreams but somehow never makes it past the first hour of the morning without already surrendering the day. That version of you, it has to go. And I know that feels harsh, because that version of you isn't a villain. That version of you is exhausted. That version of you has been trying in its own broken way to survive. It built walls to protect you. It built habits that numbed the pain. It built a life that felt safe enough to stay in, even when staying felt like slowly dying. But here's the thing about comfort. The thing nobody wants to say out loud: comfort is the most expensive thing you will ever choose. Not in money, but in time, in potential, in the version of yourself that could have existed and still can exist if you're brave enough to burn the old one down. So let me ask you something, and I need you to really sit with this. Not skim over it, not nod and move on. Actually feel it. When was the last time you were genuinely proud of yourself? Not surface level proud. Not I did the dishes or I went to the gym twice. I mean the deep kind, the quiet kind, the kind where you lie in bed at night and think, yeah, I did something real today. I changed. I became slightly more of the person I know I'm supposed to be. Can you remember that moment? For a lot of people, the silence after that question is heavy, because somewhere along the way you stopped becoming. You started maintaining. You started managing. You started going through the motions of a life that looks fine from the outside, looks completely acceptable, looks like you've got it together, but on the inside there's this ache. This quiet, persistent, low-level ache that hums underneath everything. You feel it most at night, don't you? When the noise dies down, when the distractions run out, when you've scrolled to the bottom of every feed and watched every video and there's nothing left to consume. And you're just lying there in the dark, and that voice comes. You know the voice I'm talking about. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It asks the questions you've been running from all day. Is this it? Is this all you're going to do with the time you have? Is this the story you're going to tell or not tell? Because it's too painful to tell when you're old and it's too late to change anything. That voice isn't your enemy. That voice is the last honest thing left inside you. And it's been trying, God, it's been trying to get your attention. But you've been so good at drowning it out. So efficient at filling every gap of silence, with noise, with content, with other people's voices, other people's drama, other people's lives. Anything to avoid sitting alone with yourself long enough to hear what that voice is actually saying. What is it saying? It's saying you are made for more than this. And part of you knows it. That's the painful part. If you didn't know it, if you genuinely had no sense of what you were capable of, this wouldn't hurt. You could live your comfortable, half-alive existence and feel nothing. But you do feel something. You feel the gap, the distance between who you are and who you know somewhere in your bones that you could be. That gap, that ache, that's not a curse. That's a compass. Let me tell you something about the world you're living in. Something that the people at the very top, the ones pulling the strings of entire systems, entire industries, entire cultural narratives desperately, urgently do not want you to understand. They have built a machine. And that machine has one purpose, one single ruthlessly efficient purpose: to keep you distracted. Think about it. Really think about it. The people who sit at the absolute pinnacle of success, wealth and power, they didn't get there by accident. They fought. They clawed. They sacrificed things most people would never even consider giving up. And when they got there, when they finally stood at the top and looked down, they made a decision. They decided the group stays small because power, real power, works like a pie. The fewer people holding it, the bigger each slice. And the people who hold it will do anything to make sure new hands don't reach the table. So they built a system, a beautiful, elegant, terrifying system. And the genius of it, the part that should make your blood run cold, is that the system doesn't use chains. It doesn't use walls. It doesn't need guards or locks. It uses your phone. It uses your boredom. It uses your loneliness. It uses your desperate human need for connection, validation, and the feeling that someone somewhere sees you. It takes all of those very real, very human needs and says, "Here, here's a feed. Here's an endless, perfectly calibrated stream of content designed by the smartest engineers on the planet, optimized by algorithms that know you better than you know yourself, built to keep your thumb moving, your brain numb, and your sense of time completely dissolved. 3 hours vanish. You don't notice. 5 hours vanish. Gone. A whole evening that could have been spent building something, learning something, becoming something, absorbed into the machine, converted into ad revenue, traded for nothing. And the worst part, the part that makes this not just sad but genuinely sinister, is that you'll do it again tomorrow. Because it's not a weakness of character, it's not laziness, it's not some personal failing, it's engineering. Deliberate, calculated, extraordinarily sophisticated engineering, designed specifically to capture and hold the most powerful thing you possess, your attention. Your attention is the most valuable resource on earth right now. More valuable than oil, more valuable than gold, more valuable than any physical commodity you can name. Because your attention is the gateway to your behavior. And your behavior, compounded over time, becomes your destiny. The people at the top know this. They have invested billions into making sure that your attention never fully lands on yourself, never fully turns inward, never sits still long enough to ask the dangerous question, what could I actually build if I stop giving my attention away? Imagine two people. Person A wakes up, same age as you, same general circumstances. They grab their phone the moment the alarm goes off. They check notifications, 12 new ones, a mix of meaningless things that will be forgotten by noon. They scroll through social media for 40 minutes while their coffee goes cold. They arrive at their day already fragmented, already behind, already slightly anxious without knowing exactly why. Their focus is scattered across 17 different things before they've even left the house. Person B wakes up, same age, same circumstances, same phone, same nightstand, but they don't touch it, not yet. Person B sits still for 5 minutes, just breathes, just exists without input. Their brain, slow and quiet and clear, begins to organize itself. They think about what they want to accomplish today. They feel the weight of their real goals sitting in their chest. They get up with intention. When the day starts, their attention is whole, undivided, aimed like a laser at the things that actually matter. At the end of the year, Person A and Person B are in completely different places. At the end of 5 years, they are living on different planets. And here's what matters: Person B wasn't born with more willpower, wasn't born with more discipline, wasn't born smarter or calmer or more naturally organized. Person B simply learned one thing, one single devastatingly powerful thing: how to filter through distractions. That's it. That's the whole secret. The ability that separates the people who rise from the people who stay exactly where they are year after year, wondering why nothing changes. The ability to look at your environment, your phone, your room, your habits, your relationships, your patterns, and honestly identify what is pulling you toward your potential and what is pulling you away from it. Winners can do this. And they were not born with this ability, not a single one of them. They built it deliberately. Same way you build a muscle: through use, through resistance, through showing up when it hurts and doing the work anyway. And if they built it, then the only logical conclusion, the only honest conclusion, is that you can build it too. Now the truth: you have been lying to yourself. Not maliciously, not out of some deep character flaw, but quietly, persistently, in the small daily moments where the choice appeared: work or scroll, build or consume, push or retreat. You told yourself a story. The story went something like, I'll do it later. I'll start when I feel ready. I'll begin when conditions are better, when I have more time, more energy, when things settle down. But things never settle down, do they? Because the machine is designed to never let things settle down. It makes sure there's always something new to see, always something new to react to, always some fresh crisis or drama, or piece of content demanding your response right now. It creates the illusion of urgency around meaningless things, while the truly urgent things, your dreams, your growth, your becoming, sit in silence, patient and waiting, slowly collecting dust. And you know what the hardest part is? You know it. You've known for a while. You felt it every time you put the phone down after an hour of scrolling and felt that hollow, slightly grimy feeling. You knew every time you told yourself you were going to be productive and 3 hours had vanished. Every night, having accomplished none of the things you meant to do. you knew. That knowing is what makes it heavy. That knowing is where the shame lies. But here's the most important thing: shame is not the answer. Shame is the mechanism the trap uses to keep you in it, because shame paralyzes. Shame says, you're broken, you're weak, you're too far gone to change. Shame whispers that you've wasted too much time already. So what do you need instead of shame? Something much simpler, quieter, almost scandalously ordinary. You need clarity, not a massive life overhaul, not a sudden awakening, just clarity. The ability to sit in your own life and look at it honestly. To say, here are the things in my environment, in my daily patterns, in my habitual behaviors that are actively working against the person I want to become. And here are the things that could work for me if I let them. Here is a practice. And I want you to actually do this. Not file it away as a good idea. Not think, oh yeah, I'll try that sometime. But physically right now, or the moment you finish reading this, do it. Sit down wherever you are. Put the phone away. Not on silent, not face down away, out of reach. Sit with your own mind, with the silence of your room, with the strange, slightly uncomfortable experience of not consuming anything for 5 whole minutes. It will feel strange. That's not boredom. That's withdrawal. Your nervous system recalibrating. Your brain slowly beginning to breathe. Look at your room. Look at your environment. Look like a detective, like a scientist, like someone whose job is to understand exactly what this space is doing to the person who lives in it. What do you see? That stack of books you bought 6 months ago, unread. That phone, what does it represent? Think about the last 20 times you picked it up. What were you looking for? Genuine connection, information you actually needed, a hit of stimulation, a momentary escape from the quiet. Now, notice the things that don't drain you, the notebook you actually open sometimes, the corner of your room where you feel most like yourself, moments in your week, however rare or brief, when you feel genuinely alive, capable, moving forward. Build a mental map. Left side, things that pull you away from your potential. Right side, things that move you toward it. Every honest, clear-eyed thing you can see, because this exercise isn't just organizing your environment. It's training the most important muscle you have, the muscle of self-awareness. The ability to look at your own life with clarity, instead of through the comfortable haze of denial and distraction. Every time you practice this, every time you choose the honest look over the comfortable blur, that muscle gets stronger. And here's the part most people never reach: the people who can sit with discomfort. The people who can hold the stillness long enough for something real to surface. They are the ones who change. Not because they're fundamentally different, not because they were given some advantage at birth, but because they learn to tolerate the one thing the machine cannot survive: silence. Your silence is the machine's worst nightmare. Your stillness is revolutionary. Your ability to sit with yourself without input, without stimulation, without the constant hum of content, that ability, small and quiet as it is the foundation of every transformation. The monk who meditates for decades isn't doing something mystical. He's doing the same thing you're being asked to do right now, just with more practice. Training the capacity to be present with himself, to not run from silence, to sit in the seat of his own experience without immediately reaching for comfort. And you know what lives on the other side of that discomfort? The real you. The one buried under years of noise and performance, the one who still has dreams. Real ones, not sanitized, socially acceptable ones, but the raw, private, slightly terrifying ones you barely let yourself think about because wanting them hurts. That version of you is still underneath everything, capable of so much more than your current life suggests. That version is waiting. Now let me tell you about something nobody talks about when they talk about success. Not the numbers, not the money, not the follower counts, not the revenue figures, not the vanity metrics. I'm talking about a different kind of number. How few people actually do the thing. How few people actually make the changes. How few people cross the line from wanting to change to actually becoming the person they need to be. Think about a room of 100 people. All of them at some point in their lives have had a moment of clarity. A moment where they thought, I need to do something different. I need to become something different. I am more than this. All 100 of them have that thought. All 100 of them felt that pull. How many act on it? Maybe 10. Maybe 15 if you're generous. And out of those 15, how many stay consistent? How many push through the first week when the novelty wears off and the discomfort settles in? How many make it through the first month? The first 6 months, the first year of genuine, consistent, unglamorous daily work toward becoming something better. 5, maybe fewer. And those 5 people in that room of 100, who actually did the work, who sat with discomfort, who chose the hard thing over the easy thing every single day until the hard thing became their nature. Those 5 people are not on a different planet from you. They didn't have secret advantages you don't have access to. They didn't possess some rare genetic gift for discipline. They simply learned how to tolerate boredom. That's it. I know that sounds too simple. I know you want it to be more dramatic, more worthy of the story you'll tell about your transformation. But this is it. Stripped of all packaging, the ability to sit in the boring, uncomfortable, unsexy, unglamorous work of becoming and stay, not because it feels good, not because you're inspired, not because the conditions are right, but because you decided somewhere deep in your core that who you're becoming matters more than how you feel in this moment. Boredom is the price of admission, and most people won't pay it. They'll sit down to work and 3 minutes in, they'll feel the itch, the pull, the little voice that says, just check your phone real quick. It won't take long. And they give in, because the machine is built by the smartest engineers in the world, specifically designed to win that exact battle at that exact moment. But some people, the few, the unreasonably committed few, they feel the itch and don't scratch it. They sit there, let the discomfort wash over them, breathe through it and keep going. And every single time, what they discover is that the itch passes, the craving subsides, and on the other side of it, quiet, almost anticlimactic but unmistakably real, is focus, is flow. The feeling of being fully present in your own life, fully invested in your own work, fully alive in a way no amount of scrolling has ever made you feel. That feeling is what you've been chasing your whole life, and it was never in your phone. Now think about something uncomfortable, a question you might not have asked in a while because the answer requires something from you. What is the identity you've been hiding behind? Not the resume version, not the about me version, but the real one. The story you tell yourself about why you are the way you are. The reasons always perfectly reasonable, always absolutely valid. Why you haven't yet become the person you know you're capable of being. Maybe the story is, I'll change when things calm down, when work is less intense, when the kids are older, when I have more time, more money, more support, more energy, more of whatever currently feels insufficient. Maybe the story is, I'm just not disciplined. I'm creative, not structured. I'm a free spirit. I don't work well with routines. Other people are built for that rigor. I'm built differently. Maybe the hardest story of all is this: I'm afraid that if I actually try, really try, fully, genuinely try, I'll discover even my best isn't good enough. That the dream I've been protecting by never pursuing it might simply not happen. And as long as I never fully try, I can keep the dream alive. I can keep telling myself I would succeed if I just... Do you feel that? That fear? That fear of trying and failing is the single most common reason people never become who they're supposed to be. Not laziness, not lack of intelligence, not unfavorable circumstances. Fear, dressed up in 100 different costumes, wearing the face of, I'm not ready yet, wearing the face of, someday, when the time is right, wearing the face of every excuse that feels completely justified, until you're standing at the end of your life looking back at all the some days that never came. Here's the truth about identity and the old self that needs to die. It isn't just a set of habits. It isn't just behaviors you can swap out. Your old identity is a story with a main character, you who has certain traits, capabilities, limitations, playing a specific role. And because you've been telling that story for so long, because everyone around you has confirmed it for so long, it starts to feel like reality. But it's not reality, it's a narrative. And narratives can be rewritten. Not easily, not painlessly, not without grief. Because something familiar and safe is being left behind. When you change, you lose something. The old version of you with its comfort and excuses has to die for the new one to live. And deaths, even necessary ones, are not painless. There will be moments, maybe many, where it feels like loss. Where new habits feel foreign. Where the old habits call you back with seductive warmth. Where you look in the mirror and the person you're becoming doesn't quite fit. Where the identity you're building feels like a costume, slightly too big, not quite yours. That discomfort is not a sign you're doing it wrong. It's the growing pain. That is what change actually feels like from the inside. Not the triumphant movie montage, not the smooth progress graph. but the messy, uncomfortable, sometimes deeply disorienting experience of being between identities, no longer fully who you were, not yet fully who you're becoming. If you're in that between place, that uncomfortable middle ground, understand this: you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Now, think about the most transformed person you know. Or if you don't know one personally, think about the ones you've read about. The ones who went from nothing to something extraordinary. The athletes who came from poverty and became legends. The entrepreneurs who started in a garage and now lead companies worth billions. The writers, the artists, the thinkers who refused to settle. Here's the truth: they weren't born with more willpower. They weren't born smarter, calmer, or more naturally disciplined. They simply learned one thing, one single, devastatingly powerful thing: how to filter through distractions. That's it. That's the whole secret. The ability that separates the people who rise from the people who stay exactly where they are year after year, wondering why nothing changes. Winners look at their environment, their phone, their habits, their relationships, and honestly identify what is pulling them toward their potential and what is pulling them away. And here's the key: they built this skill deliberately, the same way you build a muscle. Through use, through resistance, through showing up when it hurt, and doing the work anyway. And if they built it, then the only honest conclusion is you can build it too. But here's something you need to hear most of the time: the biggest enemy isn't laziness, isn't lack of intelligence, it isn't a bad day, a bad job, or bad circumstances. The real enemy is the machine, the engineered, invisible system designed to steal your attention.